Okay. Now I have to go find myself so I can see the comments.
Hello, friend.
Ooh. Yeah. All right. Where's my little "you're live" thing? I don't know that I'm going to be able to see comments, guys. Welcome. Oh, yay. I'm live. Okay. I'm going to turn this down. Oh, yay. Trish is here. What? You know, this might just be like our own private conversations on Marco Polo, which are currently going on right there. Okay, so apparently I cannot go when you're a YouTuber. They've updated, whatever, their stuff. And if you don't have 1,000 subscribers, you don't get to do live with a mobile device, but you can go live with a webcam. So YouTube, this is me going live with my webcam after you try to screw me over with my small channel and my small audience. So my sweet husband here is changing the angle. I just got yarn storage. Oh, we got 5 people's watching. Hey, people. My first live. Hi, Christine. This is so fun. Who else is here? Say hey. Say hey in the chat and we'll say hey back. So I'm going to have to look down at my iPad. I was just not, I was not prepared for this live video because I knew that Christine, shout out girl, was going to send me some happy mail for some donations for the October Donation for Good. And as far as I'm aware, that is the last one that I'm waiting on to do the giveaway. Well, it's been sitting in the Atlanta Distribution Center for, I don't know, 2 days now or a day. I'm not sure. So I lost my content for the night. I did actually have a fantastic interview with Becky from Pan Fran Knit Co. Shout out to my girl, Becky. We had a fantastic conversation this afternoon, and it's going to require quite a bit of editing, I believe, for me to be able to get the full thing up. We talked for an hour and a half. It was glorious. Yes, I will probably edit some of that out, mainly the part where my dog was vomiting off camera. That was fun. Yeah, well, Trish, I bet you could find, Trish says, I don't have 1,000 subscribers. I need a webcam. Mercari or Poshmark is a good place to find a used webcam for anybody else that is listening. This webcam is old. I'm lucky it still works, honestly. It's from like back when, well, it's 1080p, so it can't be that old, but I think it was before I was leading conference calls before Zoom. I think I was using WebEx or something. And before we had apps where we could do conference calls and it was all on the computer. This was from work. So that's left over on my job. Oh yeah, Facebook Marketplace is a great idea, Christine. Who else is here? Say hi so we can chat. I mean, I'm cool chatting to my 2 besties that I bribed to get to be here. I did. I was kind of like, hey, Trish, hey, Christine, will you have pity on me and come to my live? Because I knew that I had promised content all week. And without that box, I didn't have what I was going to do tonight. And I'm having a little bit of trouble saving the video with Becky and I from Pan Fran Knit Co. I'm not freaking out yet. I'm going to figure it out. If nothing else, her lovely husband, Chris, set up a side angle view camera. If nothing else, I can like cut it up into pieces and see if I can use his video. I pre-tested whether or not I could save a recorded Skype call, but I didn't think to test it for an hour and a half. I tested it for 5 minutes. So, but it is an hour and a half of fantastic yarn, fiber art conversation. Becky weaves, knits, dyes, She knits, crochets, weaves, dyes. She wants to get into spinning. We got off on a whole side conversation that's going to be its own episode about looms. Y'all, I want to weave like super bad. Oh, that's right, Trish. We need to figure that out for you. Trish says she would. Okay, here's the other thing. I like my pet peeve of lives. I'm sorry that I'm having to look down. I was clearly not prepared. I thought I could just do this and look at my camera. So I'm looking down in the comments because when I post this, it's my pet peeve to watch lives with other channel and they answer people in the comments and you don't see the comments afterwards. So Trish at the Purple Yarnivore says, I did not bribe them. Okay, thanks. I mean, if yarn mysteriously shows up at your door, like, whatevs. It wasn't a bribe. Christine says, let us all thank the USPS for holding the box. Becky sounds fabulous. LOL. Yes. Well, it's, yeah, I think it's just been a day. Hopefully I'm getting out all the bad stuff so that when the election results come in, like, they're going to be what I want, right? Also, who loves my shirt? America Needs Dolly. I'm an East Tennessean at heart. And yeah, Dolly refuses to even comment on politics. So I find this kind of funny because she'd just be like, that's just not what we talk about. But anyway, we've got 5 people here. Let's see. Let's count that. Is the 5 people my computer, my iPad, my husband, Trish, and Christine? No wonder nobody else is commenting. Whatevs. Maybe this is why they have the 1,000 mark. I have no idea. And I also, I can look here. This is almost kind of like a monitor, I guess. Do you like my new yarn storage? I have to give a shout out to my lovely caregiver whose idea was to put this storage in the corner here. And speaking of my caregiver, y'all, if I do not resurface with a video for the next 3 days, I can totally feel in my body and in my eyes and in my legs, like I'm so done for tomorrow. But I've had such a freaking fantastic day. I don't even care. Show us your stash. I feel like I should lift my shirt, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. Nor is that, nor is that necessarily things that pastor's wives should do. Oh, y'all, I just knocked over my light. Let's see. Okay. Purple Yarnivore. If yarn mysteriously shows up at my door, it has nothing to do with this live. I watch you regardless. Oh. All right, my stash. Okay, so over here is my Hobby Lobby stash. There is more in here than you think that there is because, all right, well, first, this is a really interesting tight cotton yarn, I think. Is it cotton? It feels like cotton. Are you going to tell me what you are? Oh, no, it's Tencel and acrylic. Well, anyway, it's a very interesting texture and it's very tightly wound. It is Yarn Bee Story Struck in Toy Elephant. And I got this for Mr. Rogers' pants. So I have used part of that. Mr. Roger, by the way, I worked on him earlier and was working on his hair. That's all he really lacks is his hair and his face details. And somehow his hair ended up being way too small. I couldn't stretch it to fit on it. So, Star is here. Hi, Star. Hey. Speaking of people who did the crochet for good. Oh, shoot. I left the yarn that I'm giving away in bags over there, and I was thinking I might show it if you guys showed up. Because here's a little secret. I'm such a small channel, and it's such a busy season. Other than the one box that I have no idea, nobody has claimed it even still, so I'm not sure where it came from. Star and Christine, you both are the ones that have donated, apart from myself. And Trish, I know you're going to send something eventually, but you already have a package coming. I would just like you to know, though, Star and Christine, I'm sending you both a little something. So keep out for that. And if I say Trish, I mean the purple yarnivore, by the way. So yeah, I used that gray yarn for his pants. And I'm going to use a thicker yarn than I had planned for his hair, but I haven't gotten that done yet. So this is my Hobby Lobby stash. And then this is just the minis that I got, that I thought I was going to use that white for his shoes. And then I got the white amigurumi stuff. This right here, I got on clearance. And I don't know how, because I'm not very good at finding clearance at Hobby Lobby, not like you guys are. And this is the Imperial Silk, Hint of Silk. Now, I think it's going to be super peely, especially I made one of my Descent collars out of this. Y'all, this is so soft. It's 85% bamboo and 15% silk. I bought every skein they had, every single skein, and I kind of want to go back and get any of it they have left with any of the colors they have left, because I'm a little worried they might be getting rid of this. But I have 4 skeins of it left, so 3 1/4. And then this Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel, I have 3 3-packs back there. This is the first thing that I splurged and bought, I think, 17 cakes of this for what is now going to be a shawl-ish that's just sitting on that yellow chair that I usually record on. It is, let's see, it's blowing it out. I'm gonna back it up. Nope, still blowing it out. Anyway, you've seen that behind all my other videos where I record in that chair. I love this yarn because I love rainbows and I love glitter, and this is super cushy. It is Twirls at Twilight, and it went out of stock for a while, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to get what I needed, and then it went back in stock, and I ordered 17 balls, and now I think I'm going to stop on that blanket where it's at. Thank you. These colors are beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, I wish you... Am I going to show the sparkle? Kind of. Anyway, the sparkle is like that white iridescence that kind of takes on whatever color it's next to. Oh, God. Love it. It is cotton and polyester, but it is a super soft cotton. And perfect for our weather most of the time. So it would be a good, mid-weight blanket. Because actually, my room is full of windows. This whole wall right here is windows, and the wall behind me is windows. Well, just this one. And it gets crazy hot. The colorway to that cake, Christine asks, what's the colorway? It is Twirls at, it's hard to say, Twirls at Twilight. And it's Sugar Wheel Cotton Sparkle. So, one of my faves. I would send you some because I'm done with that blanket, but I'm a little selfish with this yarn. It's still one of my favorite yarns ever. So, maybe later. Yep. So anyway, more stash things. Oh, and then this is that green/rainbow yarn. Okay, when I was showing you this, Christine and Trish, on Marco Polo, did y'all know that that's what the inside of this looks like? Because I did not. And I can't decide whether or not I'm disappointed. Oh, Battle of the Bulge documentary. The colorway to that cake, Christine, was, I just did the Battle of the Bulge and didn't tell you. Like, no wonder people do that on lives. I'll stop my hate speech now. Starla, I'm sorry that you're having to watch a dull documentary with me in the background. I really, this right here, are you asking what color this is? No, you're asking the cake, Christine. The cake is Twirls at Twilight. That's probably delayed. Anyway, that was 4 minutes ago. You're welcome. I might have to pull this. I gotta work on the Christmas presents because now I think I told you guys, I was getting the Picasso and the Rockabilly. Is this on camera? No, it's too high. For a mermaid tail. Well, I am, oh lordy. The last thing we want to see is Betsy trying to get up out the floor. Yay, you're welcome. I love you guys for this. Ugh. All right. So this is the white yarn that I'm going to double and hold, and it's got a silver sparkle. For the first time in history, I am overlit though, and this is washed out. So, or blown out, as they say. All right, I'll have to put that back in a minute. Okay, what is my other favorite yarn that's over here? Oh, this. Okay, so the blanket that stays on my yellow chair is a, okay, Christine says, that's kind of odd to have that rainbow inside the green. I thought so too. I'm not going to give up on it. I still think it has the potential to be pretty. I no longer desire to have 4 more skeins of it though. All right, this is my next favorite yarn. This is the Azalea cakes from Hobby. Their cakes are so gorgeous. And actually that's showing fairly true to color. I have 2 of those. The blanket behind on my yellow chair is from Hooked on Sunshine. It's the Phoenix blanket, and I want to make another one out of this for however far I can get with 2 cakes. There's a lot of yardage on these too, like more than you would think. It's packed tight. 874 yards. So these guys are kind of tiny. That's why it took 17 of them. They only have 335 yards on it. So already you're getting, you know, it's a 3 or 4, almost 4 cakes of the sugar wheel. Speaking of mermaid tails, have you heard if Chelsea had the baby yet? Okay, I was not, or I think you mean Kelsey on Creating Kelsey, and I am not sure how far along she is, so I don't know. And also, I've been just binging her channel and watching a bunch of older things, so I'm really not sure. I'll have to go check it out. That's exciting for her. The other thing that's in my stash is U.S. elections results may not be final. That's why we're doing this, YouTube, because I don't want to know until it's final. I don't want to spend any energy on it. This Jedi Dragoon, you probably have seen her around Cinnamon Stitches. Jennifer, oh, what's her full name? She's got her own YouTube channel. She's on Cinnamon Stitches a lot. Is this a 1? Is that what you're asking? Well, you know me, this is a 3. Oh, are you asking the Azalea? I think the Azalea is a 1. It's a 2. I mean, it's a 4 ply. So, but the stitch definition with this, Trish, is out of this world gorgeous. And part of what makes Hooked on Sunshine's blankets so beautiful is her stitch patterns. I mean, it's like lace on a blanket. It's gorgeous. That's what got me on my blanket kick. Oh, she was due on Halloween. Creating Kelsey's due on Halloween. That is awesome. I don't know. I'm going to have to go over there and see what's going on. Okay, so Jennifer Jedi Dragoon, sorry, I don't remember your last name, made a virus to granny shawl that I think she posted on Cinnamon Stitches, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that colorway? It's Troll. So I went to Walmart and got the last 2.5. The other one's a piece of one, but it doesn't have a pretty label, so it doesn't go on the same shelf because I'm obsessed that I have yarn that I can show off my pretty labels, my pretty, yeah. Anyway, as they fall everywhere. So I love that. That's in Troll. And I want to make the same thing. That was gorgeous. That virus to Granny Shaw. The Hobby. Yeah, the Hobby is the one that's 2. Both my kids were 2 weeks later. Neither one of them wanted to come out. I don't blame them, says the Purple Yarnivore. Christine says, my firstborn came 2 weeks early. Well, mine came at 36 weeks, not because she wanted to, but because I got preeclamptic. But you know, she's been eager about life ever since. So maybe that was her way of telling me, I'm ready to go, Mama. And she didn't have to go to the NICU or anything. I was so glad. I was so glad. The Hobby cake is beautiful. Might be worth suffering the 2-8. Let me see if it gives me a hook recommendation. Oh, 3.5 to 4 millimeter. I use a 4 millimeter hook all the time. Don't you think? Oh, you have 2. Trish says, I have 2 of the Troll. Yes. It's my favorite. I don't actually know if 3 is enough for the virus shawl, so I said that, but I'm going to make something beautiful out of it because I love the transition to the colors. But I have plans for everything that's in here. I really do. Except for the leftover hobby yarn. Like this latte cake right here is going into the shawl or the short sleeve sweater for my mother-in-law. But this Karen skinny cake right here is yet another sweater for moi. I want a drapey, like either sweater vest or like just a drapey shorts. I don't know. I want a drapey, some kind of cardigan out of this. Skinny cake. I think that's why I like skinny yarns, is like they just have such a pretty, well, first off, we can't really use chunky yarns a lot in Atlanta. Like very few days. So there's that. But also, I just love the way skinny yarn drapes. Starla says, mine, meaning her babies, were scheduled C-sections. The first was 25 minutes late because the staff meeting ran over. That is the worst. I hope you weren't just laying there on the table like, could you please get over here? Jeez. Oh, you know what? I have never shown this yarn. But Becky and I were talking about it today. This yarn has an amazing story. It has got to be somewhere like 1,000 grams. This ball is freaking heavy. I have never weighed it, and my scale is over there, so I can't weigh it right now. But my husband, before COVID, used to go over to Guatemala like 2 or 3 times down to Guatemala like 2 or 3 times a year. He was working with our region with the Lutheran Church in Guatemala. My husband is a Lutheran pastor, and they have a women's center down there that is designed to take young women out of their rural communities where they're often married off because there's so many kids, they're just another mouth to feed. And if they can marry them and send them in somebody else's household, sometimes that happens as young as 12 and 13, and then they don't get to continue with school. It's just this cycle. Not that just having babies and being a mother is not enough, but the insane young age at which that is happening because of just the demands of how many kids are in a household is just really sad. And then those girls also don't get a chance at education. So the Milagro Women's Center, which stands for, that means miracle in Spanish. And I'm not going to assume, Christine, that you speak Spanish, because I know a lot of Latina people don't actually, because I don't know, for various reasons. So I'm not going to assume you speak Spanish, but it's Milagro is Mujeres Iglesia de Lucerana. I forget what the G stands for. A is Augusto. Anyway, I don't remember the acronym, but it stands for something, also means miracle. It's the Women's Center, and these women go and from 12 or 13 on, and sometimes even older, they get to go in there and learn a skill that either they take back to that rural community so they have something to give back to that community, and also a paycheck that they can have, and they don't have to be married off unless that's what happens, and it's wonderful and lovely. Or they can choose to stay and continue their education, and the center helps to raise funds for that. So my husband goes down there because we work in partnership with the Women's Center, trading off skills. So they teach us how to make tortillas or tamales, or it's not always food related, one of their skills, and then we'll teach them something that hopefully they can go back and take, like personal finance, or stuff that they need to know to be able to live independently. And my husband that was a long way to say, my husband got to go learn about weaving. And that's a big thing in Guatemala for the women there. And they dye this yarn. They spin this yarn from cotton that they get and pick from the field, and then take directly immediately and spin it into yarn, and then dye it with, this was indigo, with plant dye. And he went and he got to see all how that happened. I was so jealous. I was like, you mean you got to sit? He even got to sit down and spin yarn, guys. It was such a wasted trip on him, although he took very good pictures and documented it. And we got a couple things that they had woven, because it's better to buy that stuff from local artisans, because half the stuff in the city markets is actually from China, and not handmade by Guatemalan women, but people in China. And he asked them if they had yarn that they ever sell, and they just went to the back and grabbed this ball and were like, we'll sell this to you. He paid a fair price. I don't remember what it was, but I'll tell you, it was crazy cheap for how much yarn is on this ball, and the fact that it was cotton that was hand spun and hand dyed in indigo. So that's a long story to say I don't know what I'm doing with this, but this is my most prized yarn possession of all time. And my dream is to get well enough to go. Becky and I were both talking, because Becky also wants to go well enough to go to Guatemala and have them teach us how to weave and spin the way that they do in their shop. And I would just die. I would just die of happiness. I wonder if beading is popular in Guatemala. Do you mean crochet jewelry? Oh, yay, Christine speaks Spanish. And Milagros was my mom's middle name. Aw, how sweet. I think that's a common name, is it not? Anyway, this is my favorite prized possession. And I don't know if I'm just going to love it and never make anything out of it, or because I feel like nothing I could make could do justice to this beautiful ball of yarn. feel like I'm going to screw it up. Anyway, that's my most prized possession in all of my stash. I don't, at least in this region, Trish, I don't think that like beading or crochet beading is as big as pottery. I have a couple different Guatemalan mugs, and like they weave all sorts of fabric out of this. In fact, they're doing more weaving and more woven things than one day I'll have to bring all my Guatemalan woven stuff, because he pays a fair wage for Guatemalan, but like it is still ridiculously cheap for what we would pay here, and it's artisan work and it's so gorgeous. One day I'm going to have to do a Guatemalan haul and show you all the woven items. I have a beautiful, actually the zipper pouch I have has a little crocheted heart. So somebody knows how, I mean, I'm sure crochet is across the world, but that's not the major thing they use their yarn for. But I have placemats, I have table runners, I have woven scarves, I have woven like purses and zipper pouches. And I think there's a cultural thing to like almost not in the same way as Scottish, but I think there is a cultural look to the certain materials that they make. And also they're really big into embroidery. And so even that I think they would use for embroidering. Their cultural garb is like crazy embroidered. It's so beautiful. I'm like, he didn't start this partnership until after I got sick, but oh my gosh, I want to go so bad, because all the pictures he brings back are just gorgeous. Because all the women at the women's center, when they greet just to teach more about their culture, wear their village's clothing to show him, and it's like, it's so beyond gorgeous. Is that where they make sarapas, or is that Peru? I'm not sure what sarapas are, Christine. Like bead weaving, Trish asks. I'm not sure. I don't think so. And Starla says, you should make something special enough for him to wear next time he goes there. I was thinking about that too. Yeah. I was, I wish it was like a liturgical color. All the seasons of our church have a different color associated with it. I guess navy could technically be Advent, which is Christmas time, or the time before Christmas. Because he does. The other part is these Lutheran churches have lay ministers. They're not ordained. So Pastor Karen, here's the other awesome thing about Guatemala. The Lutheran Guatemalan church is led by a female bishop and her family. I was like, what? Go Pastor Karen. Anyway, I think that's awesome. They go into the villages, because I think she tries to visit, I think, as much as she can, but sometimes that's like once a year or something, and he'll go with her on visits and get to do all the baptisms that they need to do then, all the confirmations that they have to do then. They can only do whenever she goes out and visits the congregation, because the need for clergy in Guatemala is so huge. So it's really cool. Can you use navy for around Lent? In some churches, yes. We tend to do purple for Lent. But yes, I have seen navy. That would not be uncommon, I think, in Catholic or Episcopalian maybe. But in Lutheranism, usually it's more purple. It's like a poncho. Oh, sarapas are like a poncho. Their tops do tend to be like square necked. Not all of them, but some of them are square necked with like real flouncy sleeves, and then they have what I would have called Mexican skirts that are flouncy, but clearly it's beyond Mexico because it's Guatemalan stuff. female bishop. I know. Like, isn't that awesome? I thought it was particularly awesome in Hispanic culture because there's not generally, I don't know, Christine, I shouldn't speak because you probably know more, but you're Puerto Rican and I forget what else you said. But in Guatemala, at least, that's part of the reason that they're trying to invest in these women, because there is a cultural shift to accept women in more leadership positions who, that can do more. And the fact that she is a female bishop of the church has a big thing to do with why this women's center is happening, because her congregates came to her and were like, we don't like what's happening to our girls, but we don't really have a choice. Can the church help us? And this was her brainchild. It's awesome. Yes. Okay, what else do I have in my stash? Showed you my most prized possession. Oh, this, now that Prism yarn is currently 40% off of Mary Maxim, I got this a week or so ago. I've already made my mother her Christmas present, but this colorway screamed my mother, and I love a good roving. And I would love to make her something else out of this for Christmas, because, you gotta love on your mama. This is the color Rain Shower. So that's my backup for Christmas stuff. A hat or a scarf. I kicked up my chunky yarn to do on my loom. I got a knitting loom. Starla says, I live in El Paso, more of a Catholic area. No, I don't speak Spanish. Christine says, my church uses purple and I'm Catholic. Puerto Rican, Cuban, Latin American is still behind in women's rights, and it's sad. Yeah. So I thought this was particularly awesome that Pastor Karn was just like, I'm going to take the horns on this. We're going to make this happen. And the respect that those villages have for her is just amazing. I mean, it just defies everything I knew about Latino culture, or at least in Guatemala. She is so highly revered. Of course, I mean, look what she's doing. My gosh. And yes, so I lived in Amarillo, Texas, Starla, for 5 years. And that's where I learned never assume that someone who looks like they're Hispanic speaks Spanish. Because they've probably been living there for longer than any white people. And so they're sometimes generations away from the last generation that spoke, several generations away. What else do I have here? This, I don't think I've shown this because this has been in my stash for a while, is Lion Brand Heartland Tweed, and it's rainbow speckled. I want to make, Bago de Crochet has a cowl that's got a lot of different textures in it, and that is what this is for, and a hat. I want to make Cinnamon Stitch's hat that she just released with her Premier yarn with this, except for this is not a chunky, it's a number 4. So I'd have to account for that. All right. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say. There's Premier Puzzle. Got some fluffy yarns down there. Most of my ice stuff is up there. This is all my washcloth stuff that you can't see, but I've got lots of pink. Not lots. That's the only pink one I have. Peaches and cream. Oh, I got this in my Mary Maxim box. This Scrub It, and it's a lot softer than the Lily Sugar and Cream, or the Scrub It that Hobby Lobby makes. So I think that might be bad if you're wanting it to actually scrub something, but I think it's going to be easier to crochet with because it's a little softer on the hands. So I just got this today, so I'm working on how to organize my yarn. Christine says, my kids don't speak Spanish, but they understand it and know when I'm upset and I go on a tangent in Spanish. Okay, so funny story. My next door neighbors one is from, well, the wife is from Israel. I think that Eton is also from Israel, but he's lived in New York most of his life. And he has a thick New York accent. And I don't speak a lick of Hebrew, but whenever he speaks or he's getting mad at his kids or whatever, I swear he speaks Hebrew in a New York accent. It's hilarious. He doesn't know that I say that about him. So anyway, my neighbors are fantastic. He'd probably laugh and say, yeah, I do. Starla says, I have several friends who are Black and German, and everyone here assumes they're Hispanic. It irritates the heck out of them. The amount of Germans in Texas is kind of like, and there's I learned a lot of Swedish and Norwegian people in Texas, which, I mean, I've lived in the Southeast primarily my whole life, so that was interesting, all the different subcultures, because we had a lot of Germans come up through Charleston, and the British didn't want them there when they came over, and so they kicked them up to the mountains of North Carolina and the Piedmont area of North Carolina. We have a lot of Lutherans in North Carolina and a lot of Scotch Irish in North Carolina, which is where my family is from, in Western North Carolina. But I didn't know anything about Texas migration patterns, and yeah, ton of Germans, ton of Swedes and Norwegians. Anyway, that's about it. I am exhausted. I know I don't seem it because I'm on camera, but I'm probably going to crash after this. Thanks for spending, how long have we been going here? It's not showing me. Thanks for spending the election evening with me. I really appreciate it, especially since this was kind of last minute and I was late getting on and all that. I think I'm going to hop off if I can figure out how to text my husband to come turn off the live so you don't see my behind as I'm getting up and walking to the computer. Oh, girl, y'all, I'm so tired. You're like, great. We love watching you text your husband. That's fine. He's literally in the other room, but he's got his headphones in listening to a show. Come turn off my live. Maybe this is why I'm such a hot mess. This was great. Thank you, Christine. I would love to do more lives. I mean, gosh, it's so much less work. I mean, I love doing my YouTube channel, but editing and all that is hard. This is going to be great. It's going to post and be done. We have a huge Army base that shares training here. Yes, yes. All right, kids. I'll see y'all soon, friends. I will post something tomorrow, hopefully. It's probably going to be like, I did too much. Thank you, Betsy. This is awesome. Thank you, guys. Bye. You're good.